So good morning and good evening to everyone. As all of you know, today we are going to learn how to do this water offering practice of Vasudhara together with the 4 Jambhalas. So this program was requested by the Monday chanting of the 5 Royal Sutras group, particularly the group in Vietnam. So due to different causes and conditions, now we're able to do this program today and tomorrow. So for those of you who are still unfamiliar with Zoom, if you should know that you can set what you see on your Zoom screen, okay? You can keep it to gallery view, or you could keep it to speaker view. Gallery view, you will see many people, depending on whether you're on a laptop, on a desktop, or on a tablet, or on a phone, you see a different number of people. Like right now on the laptop that we have using here in the center, I see 20 people. So that's the gallery view. If you want to only look at the person speaking, and might be helpful later when we start, when there are things going on, you want to be able to see me better, then you should switch to speaker view. So this is some suggestion for you. So first we should begin with the preliminaries or the foundational practices that we have to cultivate. Especially Kyabgön Densumgön, founder of Drikung Kagyu. He says that while other people say that these kind of very high-sounding, exciting teachings, you know, like Tummo, Dream Yoga, Mahamudra, Dzogchen. Everybody gets so excited, he says, and think that these things are so amazing, and these things are so important. He says, in my system, in my understanding, in what I can see about how cause and effect works, basically, the foundational or the preliminaries are the most important things for us to focus on. When I first encountered this statement, and this statement that says, while other people consider these other things as profound, I consider the foundational preliminaries to be truly profound, this statement. So this statement actually very famous in the Tibetan world. You will see this statement quoted by masters of other lineages, especially when they're talking about that set of practices that we call preliminaries, like mudra. So people will quote that to say, oh, Drikung Kyopa, meaning the Lord Protector of Drikung. Drikung Kyopa says, this. So when I first learned about this statement, my understanding was just that the point is that like building a house, if you don't have a strong foundation for your house, then whatever you build on top, it's unreliable, it's shaky, it's going to fall down if things shake a little bit. So that's my initial understanding of this statement, that the preliminaries and the foundational matters are important because of that. And I would say most people, when they quote this statement, they also think it's important because of that. So that understanding, of course, that's correct. That's important to remember. Yeah? So the foundational things are important because whatever you're going to build on that foundation, how long it's going to last depends on how strong your foundation is. But Kyoba Jigden Sumgun's statement is more, is deeper than this, this basic idea. It's deeper than this basic idea. It's more profound than this basic idea. So it is more than that because what Kyoba Rinpoche is saying is what is in the foundational matter and what is the main characteristic, like main element in the foundational matter. Anybody in this room? What is the essence of this foundational matter? Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the main ingredient of this foundational matter. Now, to properly establish, to properly begin to work on bodhicitta, yes, you need renunciation. Yes, you need discipline. Yes, you need faith. Yes, you need devotion. Right? But all those things are for setting us clearly on bodhicitta. So now we begin to see the foundational matter is not just important in that example, in that analogy that, well, to build something greater, higher, taller, more beautiful, you need a good foundation. But in fact, everything that we're building is actually this foundational matter. Everything that we are practicing, through practicing relative bodhicitta, we come face to face with ultimate bodhicitta. And these two bodhicittas is the basis of the path or the method itself. And when we say we are Buddhas, what are Buddhas? Buddhas are the complete embodiment of the two bodhicittas. Yeah, so in that sense, right, all the other higher teachings, they are just ways and methods compassionately given by the Buddha to help us bring to fruition what we have been introduced to in the preliminaries. So that if we don't understand the preliminaries, if we don't take the preliminaries to heart, then what is there to practice? There's nothing else to practice. No matter how fancy your practice is. You can pour water, until all the waters in the world are done, finished. If you don't understand the preliminaries, you're wasting your time. You're not doing anything. Because the preliminaries is where the essence is found. And at the heart of the preliminaries is bodhicitta in these two sides, relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. So, these two aspects of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta is mainly, for most of us right now, relative bodhicitta is mainly what we have the capacity to focus on. Ultimate bodhicitta is the realization of emptiness. The correct and true realization of emptiness is ultimate bodhicitta. Now, some of us might get very excited reading descriptions, descriptions of the realization of ultimate bodhicitta, and then we make the mistake of thinking, if I talk a lot about it, if I read a lot about it, if I debate a lot about it, then, I will understand ultimate bodhicitta. Kyabgön says, you will never realize bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta that way. To talk a lot about it, to read a lot about it, to debate a lot about it, to think a lot about it, at best, makes you a better parrot. Like how we can train parrots to say things, but the parrot has no idea what it is saying. Good morning, hun. Good morning, hun. Good morning, hun. And he doesn't mean it because he doesn't know what he's saying. So at best, if we spend a lot of time thinking about, emptiness, everything is one, no subject, no object, at best you get very good at arranging all the words to make you sound like you know what you're talking about. Kyabgön Rinpoché says, you are wasting your time. That is not how you realize ultimate bodhicitta. So he says, instead, what you and I should be focusing on is relative bodhicitta. Yes, so relative bodhicitta. So bodhicitta, in the big picture, there are two aspects. Now, of course, when we say, don't spend time thinking about, talking about, reading about ultimate bodhicitta, we're not saying, Gyalpa Rinpoche is not saying completely ignore. Of course, you need to know something about what this ultimate bodhicitta is. You need to have some understanding, some basic understanding of emptiness, what emptiness means. Emptiness does not mean, you're trying to become nothing, right? That you need to work on, you need to understand what emptiness means to the degree that we can reasonably have some understanding of emptiness. Yes, of course. Gyalpa Rinpoche says, yes, you need to know about that. Because if you don't know about that, then it also is a problem. Even just intellectually knowing something about ultimate bodhicitta, if you completely don't know anything about that, also is not going to work. But after knowing a little bit about that, he says, mostly then, let's work on that aspect of bodhicitta that we can all work on, which is called relative bodhicitta. Relative bodhicitta can be summarized as immeasurable, unbiased love and compassion as the driving force, driving us to do what? So, immeasurable, unbiased love and compassion, driving us to commit ourselves to achieving the state of Buddha in order to more effectively benefit all sentient beings without exception. That's the summary of what relative bodhicitta is. So then, when we talk about relative bodhicitta, in some texts, for example, Shantideva's Bodhicayavatara, there he will say, when it comes to relative bodhicitta, there are two aspects to it. What is known as aspiration bodhicitta and what is known as application or engagement bodhicitta. So those are the two aspects of relative bodhicitta. So aspiration bodhicitta is making that promise, having that desire, making that promise, staying focused on I really, really need to achieve Buddha for the sake of the freedom from suffering and the attaining of happiness of all beings without exception. So that's the first, the aspiration. And then application or engagement bodhicitta is the practice of the 6 paramitas, the 6 perfections. And in the practice of the 6 paramitas, for example, the practice of wisdom, right, which is related to ultimate bodhicitta, is part of it. But those are different practices found in the perfection of wisdom as part of engaged or applied bodhicitta, of relative bodhicitta. So now we will do the opening recitations, which is the preliminaries of bodhicitta. In the tradition that we normally do it in Drikung, which is we begin with reciting Aspiration Bodhicitta vow 3 times, then the application or engagement bodhicitta vow 1 time, and then we do the refuge prayer composed by Lord Atisha. The application and engagement bodhicitta vows, those words composed by Kyabgön and Sumgön. Then following that, we do the refuge vow, prayer. And even in the refuge prayer of Lord Atisha, he says, it is again about bodhicitta. It's like I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then, right, I generate bodhicitta. Then after that, we recite the 4 immeasurables, and those are words from the sutras. Those are words that the Buddha taught. Okay? And the 4 immeasurables is cultivating loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. These 4, you could say, is the ingredients of Buddhahood. It's what Buddhahood consists of, these 4 immeasurables. So these 4 immeasurables, they too are bodhicitta. So all 4 recitations at the beginning, it's all about bodhicitta. Yeah, so in the different rooms, in the main room, I'm going to say these four prayers in English. Then in the Spanish room, it will be said in Spanish. In the Vietnamese room, it will be said in Vietnamese all at the same time. So we're going to say this just one time, one time, one time, one time, all four of them. Then when we finish saying in the different languages, in the main room, I'm going to chant them in Tibetan. Uh, All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path. Aspiration and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds, speech and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, happiness and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. Never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity from the bias of attachment and aversion. And now we go back to the beginning, and I will chant in Tibetan so that you can listen to that. I know, for many of us, we like this special effect of Tibetan. It feels more special, right? And so it's okay if you want some special effect, but it's really important you know the meaning of what is being said. If you don't know the meaning of what you say, then even you can say it very well in Tibetan, and you feel very nice, very inspired. But inspired to do what? No idea. Then it's useless, kembe bardu chopa jeba tam chenge so jebe ma nang kada nyambe senchen tam je dewa tam den dunya dander nerdu lana me pa yang na para sobe chanju Rinpoché tombar Nava jebe da no bar jebe ge tarpada tam je kembe bardu chopara jeba tam je ge so jebe ma nam kada nyambe senjen tam je dewa dan den dunya dan nerdu lana me paya Dabara sobe chanju Rinpoché tombar dala nawa jebe da nobar jebe ge karpadam tam je kembe bardu chobar jeba tam je ge so jebe ma nam kada nyambe senjen tam je dewa dan den dunya dander nerdu lana me baya sobe chanju Rinpoché tobar de sama ge ki bardu lunga yesu gewala ko ma she bardu lunga yesu gewala ko du tering ne sun te ne ma sam da sam ki bardu lunga yesu gewala ko sonje chodan soge chonam la chanju bardu dane kyabsu chi dage jinso gebe sonam ki dola pencher sanje drubrashu sangye chodan soge chonam la chanju bardu dane kyabsu chi Kage jinso gebe sonam kendro la pencher sangye drubrashu sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu bardu dane kyamsu chi dage jinso kendro la pencher sangye drubrashu Nyambe senchen damje devada Gyundan dembara gyurji Dunya dan dunya gi Gyudan drawa gyurji Dunya mepe dewa Dame drawa gyurji Nidin chada nidan drawe Tanyala nebara gyurji Kadang nyambe senjen tamje Dan dewe gyundan dembar gyurji Dunya dan dunya gi gyudan drawa gyurji Dunya mebe dewa dami drawa gyurji Niring chada nidan drawe Tanyam la nebara gyurji Kadang nyambe senchen tamje dewa dang dewe gyundan dambra gyurji Dunya dang dunya gi gyudan dewa gyurji Dunya mepe dewa dang me dewa gyurji Nirin chadang nidan dewe Danyam la nebra gyurji So some of you might not have the words for this, so it's not in the text that we have shared, and the reason is because these are so basic. Every practice that we do, we need to have this. And so a lot of practices, they say in the notes at the beginning, begin with generating bodhicitta and refuge. That's all they say, because you are supposed to already know these, you know. So try to know these opening recitations by heart, So next, what we're going to perform or do is to offer a mandala. Offer a mandala as our request, as bringing our sincerity to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, particularly to Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. Offering them a mandala saying, please give me the permission, please give me the ability to do this practice. So this is something that is emphasized a lot, that in order to receive, you have to give. Why? Because giving is opening up a space. Opening up a space in your heart, in your mind. If you don't have space in your heart and in your mind, and in fact, if you don't have space in your hands, if your hands are closed, holding on tightly, how are you actually going to receive? It's not possible to receive. So we offer a mandala in exchange, so to say, for these precious transmissions. In particular here, the transmission of the water offering of Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. So mandala. Mandala literally means center and periphery. The way it's translated into Tibetan is Kinko. Kilko means center and periphery. So that's the literal meaning, right? In Sanskrit, it simply means a circle. But in Tibetan, very interestingly, the masters who translated from Sanskrit into Tibetan, they felt that it is important to emphasize that a mandala is a circle, yes, as Indians will say, it's a circle, but it also has a center. So the center and the periphery. Then more specifically, mandala in the context of Vajrayana is referring to the presence of a deity or Buddha surrounded by a retinue. And the understanding here, a Buddha surrounded by retinue, is that the retinue in this mandala, they are not someone else or something else, but they are aspects, they are manifestations of the Buddha, the deity in the center. And in that way, you could say it's a little bit different, you could say, from, say, pre-Vajrayana understanding, where, for example, pre-Vajrayana understanding, you have the idea already of like Buddha Amitabha, right? In the Pure Land, surrounded by, or right next to him is Avalokiteshvara on the right, Vajrapani on the left, right? And then other great bodhisattvas surrounding Amitabha. There, in the pre-Vajrayana elements, it is not explicitly stated that Avalokiteshvara is in fact an aspect of Amitabha. Vajrapani is another aspect of Amitabha. And all the other great bodhisattvas are different aspects of Amitabha. But in the Vajrayana teachings, that point is made explicitly. So especially when we do deity yoga practice, that point is very important to know. That when you visualize yourself as the deity, yourself is not necessarily just one deity. Depending on the practice, yourself is also in front, yourself is also on the right, behind, on the left, in the cardinal directions, up and down. All these are aspects of your Buddha qualities, aspects of these Buddha qualities. So mandala in Vajrayana refers to this. Now, in this case here, when we say offer mandala, here in this case, we are not referring to offering these Buddha mandalas. Here what we're referring to is offering our world, our universe. But why is it called mandala? Our world, our universe? In other words, it's saying offer everything that we have. Offer everything that we have in exchange for these precious teachings, for these precious transmission. So why do we call offering mandala here? Because in the words for this mandala offering, it says, this ground, this great earth, when it says this ground, it's saying this great earth, sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, it says. So you make this whole earth smell really good and look really good. Then it says adorned with the supreme mountain, Mount Meru, meaning at the center of this world is Mount Meru. And then there are the 4 continents. Then there is the sun and the moon. So these are all kind of ancient Indian understanding of what the world, what the universe consists of, right? Now, of course, today you and I may or may not believe, and probably, if you ask me, I don't believe that this is how the universe looks like, right? But that's okay, because the main point is not this ancient cosmology. The main point is, whatever you think this world is, whatever you think your universe is, more importantly is the third line in this mandala offering. It says, I visualize, I hold in my mind, I experience as a Buddha land. This is how we turn this world into a mandala. So we are actually, to be very accurate, we're not offering this world, but we are offering this world transformed into a Buddha land, into a pure land, and we offer it. So this is why we say, now we offer a mandala. In a way, if you offer this world, and with all its confusions, with all our confusions about it, if we offer it to the Buddhas, there isn't that much merit, so to say. But if we're able to experience this as a Buddha land, or to whatever degree we're able to experience this as pure as the Buddha land, to that degree when we offer it, we will receive the blessings. So this is why this is called mandala offering. And then, very important, the fourth line of this offering says, and by offering this mandala, may all beings experience this Buddha land, this pure land. So again, even in this mandala offering, it's about bodhicitta. Yes, the immediate reason why we offer this mandala is so that we can receive the transmission, we can receive the teachings. But the real reason, or the reason on the essence level, is so that we can magnify our bodhicitta. So now, if to whatever degree you are able to, you can think you are in the presence of Buddha Shakyamuni. If you are able to do that, if you can comfortably do that, that's very good. Think that you come in front of Buddha Shakyamuni. Perhaps you think Buddha Shakyamuni is teaching in the forest somewhere in India to his disciples. Then you come in front of Buddha Shakyamuni and you say, please, I offer this mandala in order to receive this Vasudhara water offering transmission. Then some of you maybe have more a connection with Vasudhara herself. Then you can think you are coming to Vasudhara's forest. It's said that in Vasudhara's forest there's a lot of flowers and trees and streams and rivers, and she's surrounded by her attendants, all these young girls. Then if you are able to imagine that, think of that, you can also think, I'm now approaching Vasudhara herself and asking to be given this transmission, and in exchange I am offering this mandala. So we should think like this now. So je peux je me do Kyabgön Mandala Pradija Swaha. So then, in response to this offering that we made, then Buddha Shakyamuni or Lady Vasudhara, however you think of this, now gives the oral transmission of this practice. When this oral transmission is being given, obviously I'm the one speaking it, but you should really think it's Buddha Shakyamuni, Vasudhara, in response to your request, is now giving you this practice. Of course, when you're listening now, and so when you're listening to the oral transmission, you don't want to take notes, you don't want to write anything, you don't want to be distracted. If it helps you, you can look at the text as I am doing the transmission in Tibetan. You can look at the text and try to follow, if it is helpful. But if it is distracting, then you should even put the text down and think in your mind, oh, I am sitting in the forest, listening to Buddha Shakyamuni giving this transmission. Or I'm sitting in the garden that Vasudhara is, and listening to her giving me this practice. This is important to be in this state of mind. Yeah. Otherwise, right? It's just some guy, some man, saying some badly pronounced Tibetan words, and badly pronounced that you don't understand even what's going on. Then nothing is going on. Then no transmission. You know. Doji Chanting Dele Naroda, Mamida Popa Doji Dengun, Kadim Sundin Sawela Mesha, Sajulama Yidam Chokyongla, Soa Devsa Daji Jinji, Logan, Dengedome, something get Babedo, Sonyola, Katsome, Gawa Doji Chang, Haji Dengum Boshaba, do Tatu Sam Yukule, Menji, Loshi, Tuji, and Game of Bazen, and Sympathy to Jinji. So first, what I just did is to invoke the blessings of the lineage, to ask for Dorjechang, Vajradhara, Tilopa, Naropa, and so on and so forth, to give their blessings so that this transmission can be done properly. So now the actual transmission. Osya namke bangzo dargi ne ma she jawa Om benza amrita kundale hana na hum te Om swa bama shuddha savadama so bava shuddho hang Tong pe ngan le dundu na su pe ma da ma shi pe te wa kesar dang kesar so su usu Ale ta we dengi dundu pam ye le dregi ne ma pam ke tsempa le oze na su cho chu tro Senjen tam je u jing pong pe dunya dang dre jin ser ne le ki de pa jang su du sa bon cha tsen dan che pa Yonsu gyur pa le chum den de ma la mo ne gyur ma kun don ser so ma ta bu sha chi chan ni ma Shi shing sum la jo ge ro ve lang cho sar pa ge ni la thom pa da bu cha ye shin to pi cha pura ka thang che pe jo jing gi cha kya dang yon dre kar gi ne ma sar pa tu kar nam pa rinpoche chu ben so gen tham je gi gen pa Ton tin reo pe lembu che jing ki gyab du dro wa la ze ki re cha du me To yo da me de yo la blu tu so wa me to nam pa na so ki chung wa sar pe Le par gen pa lo me nam pra de we nyam chen pu me kyu me nga gyao ki ging pa Sham ni kyu chon che pe rin po che par wa kyu pe me te rin nam nem pa De da ki dun dang ye she ye su da dem pe re re kyab dang yon du ni me den re re ten du Du ne ye kor du tam ye kar se mar na o bar wa re re se wa nam le o se tro Du ni je du yong su gyur pa le dun du Jambhala kar po kundo dun gi re wang ta bu Tu la sen kyu du shon pa ye chang chen tang ye nyu le kyo wa sin jing Dadan Rinpoche na so pe gen pa ye su Jambhala ser po jambu chu o ser ki dok chen Ye shing tok bija pura ka tang yon nyu le kyo pa zin pa Upa le treng wa chen shab ki pe me dong dang tar da nem pa Kyab tu Jambhala mar po kundo pe mara ge do chen shio sum cha dru shio ye kar Yong mar u ku dang tum pa shio re re la chen sum sum nga wa cha dru gi Ye dang po rinpo che bar pe cha kyu yon dang po to pa nor po kang we Bar pe shak pa tamani ki nyu le nor gi kang wa re re zin pa Shabzi kyang kum gi no je nor kyu ni ni nen pa chak pe nyam chen Dadan rinpo che du me gen pe to kar la mo kuru kule mar mo sha che cha shi ma Cha dang po ni ki da zu oma ni ki cha kyu dang shak pa zin pa Dadan rinpo che gen pa o yon du pak pa mung zin Kundo indra ni le lumpo la du ki mumpe kyu pa ta bu Ye to pa tra gi kang wa dang yu yon nyu le kyo wa zin pa chir bu myu tong gi zhuk chen Jam ni kyang kung ki shen ne no da ser po nen pa de ta tso kor tam je ki Chivo om kar po timpa a mar po tu kar hung ong po de nam le o se tro pe Ranshingi nene kumpa tabu yeshe pa nam chen rang kumpo kunshe tu je chen data chi ning ma nga yi duk she shing sukbe nengen yan rola tsebe she su so badra tsa ma tsa damsik pa dang yeshe pa yerme par gyur la yang tu ke La yang tu ke sabon gi u ki wang gi la kya wa ring a chen chang ben chapula sapari vara ar gyam pa nyam push pe du pe Aloke kende nevede shabda pratitya swaha Om sarva tathagata abhisinjantu mam Om sarva tathagata abhisinjantu mam Wangile wangkuruku gandri mata Chulang Maria lupale chomoda Jamsirla rinjung Karpola namnam marpola opa menang Pola mikyo pe chopengi gyebdap Wang la nam rang ni la tim par gyunu Rangi lakpa yom me tiu du dawe usu Ayikar po tempa le du zi ro gya dan tempa le ching me ki du zi la Yang e para gyu wa nu be gyum papa chum den de ma kutsu koro nge shi du pu jing Kutru sowe nye shin tsim ne da so sem chen tam che la nor gi ngaduk charba pa tar so shin ke par gyur Om Vasudhare naye Jambhala jalendraye Dhanamedi hre Indrani mukham brahmare hre swaha Om Vasudhare naye Jambhala jalendraya Dhanamedi hre Indrani mukham brahmare hre Sapparivara argyam padyam pushpe dupe aloke kende Nevede pratitya swaha Lamo gangshi gila dren samgi Punso rinchen nodang du namdang Gangshi chukso Ngudrup teresema Sampel nor gyun terla chaksel to Shive su shin chum den da we do da do ten nan sing kyu gi ro shing Dang ten ter ni new le zin chaksel Ser gong pu se da gi re wa du nor gi wan ju rin chen ter nga shing Nu jin nor da mang po go kun gi je chang jo kyong wen gong po Jambhala Gadu choso no la chak se to du sum san je kun ji sung gi la Tu je chak pe kun do mar po su wang gi trin le dok se Jambhala Chak seo to we re wa kang du so pak pa muk sin chu wang cho wa na Miu tong suk chang no jin de pon je kyo ni mi kyo chok tu da tengi Chak seo nor gi ngadu myur du so serene le ki me yi dung pa nam Ke dang kirwa kyo la kyab su chi rin chen du tsi char gi chu gyun gi Sem chen uwe du nyao shi war u so Om Bhadra sato samaya Anupalayam Bhadra sato de no pa de shtar te do men baba su to kayo men baba su po kayo men baba Anurato men baba sabase de men prayata savra karma su cha me chetang sriya kuru hong Om Bhagavan sarva tathagata Bhadra mandam jabajri baba Mahasamaya sato abhadra mu yeshe pa na rang ne su she Dam se pa rang la tim pa gyuru So nam de tam je se pa nyen tom nyen nyen ben nam pom je de ke kan na je pa lo to pa ye se be so le do wa do ma shu wa je se jo le po je ma ge pa nam ke je ke pa nam pa pa ma ko ne ko le ro wa jo la ma ko sa ma so wa de so do go se ring ma so wa de je le da jin ge pa so wa de la ma da be wa be je je lo je be pa wa ji da ke pa nam ku do sam bo de yan de jin de da ko ji je se da lo ji ke wa di da tham je rap de no san je ku sun ne be je na jo ni me ge ne de la da ke de be je de be je ke Jishang jidang yonshin molang trupa shu danam kode tam je ki tu sun du sapada Yo peke we zawa di dadan sen chen tam je nu do la na me ba yang da pa so be chan chu rin po je top par kyu chi she ja kun je choki je ten re ne la wan to Drikung pa rin jen pe ki ten pa se de pa she ju do san kun pe sin kyu chi Yeah, so the oral transmission, the lung, for this Vasudhara water offering is complete now. So let me now introduce this particular practice. So first is The complete title of this practice, as you have it in your text, which has been translated into Vietnamese by our Vietnamese team, and translated into Spanish by Alex. Thank you so much to all the translators. Without the translators, then I am as good as mute, you know. And then today, of course, we have Wang Chuk and Claudia translating for us as well, interpreting for us. But anyway, this text, right, it's one part of 4 parts. The complete practice has 3 more parts. So this is the first part of a 4-part practice. The entire practice has the outer part, the inner part, the secret part, and the essence part. So this is the outer practice. This sadhana in 4 parts was composed by Drikung Dharmakirti, also Drikung Chukidrakpa. Drikung Dharmakirti or Drikung Chukidrakpa is the first Chungtsang Rinpoché, and he lived in the 17th century. So many of the sadhana texts that we now use in Drikung Kagyu, many of them were authored by, composed by Dharmakirti. And even the ones that are not composed by Dharmakirti, and they were composed by later lineage masters based on what Dharmakirti did. So sometimes you can say, after Kyopa Jigten Sumgan, founder of the lineage, probably one of the most important figures, influential figures in Drikung Kagyu is Drikung Dharmakirti. Often we say that the Chungtsang Rinpoches, right? In Drikung, we have the Chesang Rinpoches and the Chungtsang Rinpoche, right? Kyabgön Chesang Rinpoche, Kyabgön Chungtsang Rinpoche. Often we say that Kyabgön Chungtsang Rinpoches, they are the emanation of the Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri. Then Kyabgön Chesang Rinpoche, as many of you know, is the emanation of the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara. And sometimes Dharmakirti is also said to be an emanation of Guru Rinpoché. And the reason for that is because he is sometimes also said to be the reincarnation of his grandfather, the 17th holder of the Drikung throne, Kyabgön Rinchen Punso. And because Kyabgön Rinchen Punso is often considered an emanation of Guru Rinpoché, and therefore, if Trukhi Drakpa is the reincarnation of the grandfather, then he is also an emanation of Guru Rinpoché. So in this, coming back to this sadhana we have, this text that we have, so the outer practice is the first practice that we have to do before we should do the inner, the secret, and the essence practice. So in this outer practice, as we will see, I'm going to take you through the whole text. As you will see, we don't visualize ourselves as Vasudhara or as Jambhala. Primarily, this is a front generation, we call it. That means we pray and invite Vasudhara and the four Jambhala to appear in the space in front of us. So it's a front generation, it's not a self generation. Then some of you might ask, so during when I'm doing this practice, should I visualize myself as anything or just leave it alone? Well, the answer is just leave it alone. No need to think so much about who you are, what you are, and there's no need to specifically visualize yourself this or that. Having said that, it is always good, right, to train in thinking of yourself as a Buddha, because that is truly who we are. So if naturally, right, you feel comfortable, you feel easy, right, to think, I am a Buddha. And so then, whatever you have been training with, some of you have been practicing Avalokiteshvara, thinking of yourself as Avalokiteshvara, then you can assume this identity of your idam. So whatever your idam is, if you can easily, naturally think of yourself like that, then no problem, no mistake. When you do this water offering, you visualize yourself as that idam. No issue. But if you don't have this naturally way of thinking, oh, I am the idam, also no problem. Just leave alone. Yeah, so that point first. Now, let's look at this text. It says, first, the offering of water, this water offering. So in the notes here, it says, to make this water offering, you need a precious vase made of gold, silver, or copper. So often, right, in these notes, they present you the best thing, the best situation that it can be. So it said it is best if your vase, your offering pot, in other words, we translate as vase. So traditional Tibetan Jambhala offering set, you have this thing called chutor, chutor vessel. Chutor means water dharma offering. So it's shaped something like this. So that's the traditional design. So it's best, it says here, is made of gold or silver or copper. This one that I have here is made of copper. But really, you know, if you don't have gold, silver, copper, then you find a nice teapot. But it's best not to use the teapot to also make tea for your guests or make tea for yourself. It's better to reserve this offering set for your water offering practice. But again, you know, if all you have is a teapot that you also need to use for making tea for your guests and for yourself, then it's better to do the offering using that teapot than to say, oh, I cannot afford to get another teapot, and Lama says, you know, I should only use a teapot that is specifically for Jambhala practice. Oh, so then I cannot do the practice. No. Better that you do the practice using whatever it is that you have. But if you have the ability to have a teapot made of gold, very good. Okay, then the translation here maybe is not very clear. I know the English is not very clear. But, you know, whatever the translations say, basically, to do this offering, you need a teapot. So that's one thing, right? That first. Next, what you need is also a plate like this, a vessel like this. Not a flat plate, because this is where you're going to make the offering. Then you need a plate like this. Then inside this plate, you need to put a stand. So this stand in the traditional style is two pieces like this. Then you put, then it becomes four legs. Yeah? So then you put inside, in the center of this bowl, this low bowl. Then on top of it, you put a small plate on top of the stand. You put a small plate. Yeah, so at the beginning, as you are preparing this, so you put this kind of a little, a lower bowl, the stand, and then this plate, right? You should, at the beginning, before you start, as you're preparing, you put this plate upside down, okay? Upside down first. This is sort of saying, not starting yet. Not yet. When you start, when you're ready to do the offering, then you turn it over. But before you start, you put upside down. Now, in this case, my teapot is small, So then, for practical reasons, I will also use another pitcher to prepare more of the water offering that I'm going to use. So what should I put in this water offering? Two things that are most basic and most common. In fact, if you use these two things, it's enough. Although in the notes it says you can put this, you can put that, you can put that, right? There's a list there. Red sandalwood, saffron, vermilion, sindura, and then some kind of flowers, then some kind of herb called yellow sheep's horn, right? Don't need to stress over, I don't have this, what are they, Two most important thing is clean water. That's one. Then the second one, milk. Clean water and milk. So there's milk, so new milk. So you mix. You mix. And then some of you say, what is the proportions? Like this is a cooking recipe. It doesn't matter, Right now I'm using 80-20 in case you want all the exact details. I'm using 80-20. Give me some water here. Then it says, okay, so you prepare all of this. Then it says, right, sprinkle with preparation water. What is this preparation water? This is a technical term. Preparation water, often in other rituals, it's the water that you have in the bumba. The bumba that you bring the bumpa. The bumpa that you use for cleansing your daily offerings that you put out. Maybe most of you don't do that, but if you're in the temple, if you have all the different things, so you have a bumpa like this. Normally, we would use the water from the bumpa, and the water here is blessed with mantras. Then we use this water, right, to clean the offering that we do. So normally, then preparation water is referring to what's in the bumpa for cleansing. But here in this water offering, more simple. You get another plate, right? These small plates, right? And you put a little bit of clean water in here. Put a little bit of clean water in here. Then, which I already have over here, clean water. Then you just put it there. Prepare that. There's a question, 80-20. 80 water, 20 milk. Don't ask me, okay, 2% milk or skim milk or full milk, you decide, okay. or almond milk, all of that, okay, you decide, okay. Goat milk.
I believe you're on mute, Dr. Lai.
Scientific mind allows you.
Okay, thank you. So then it says, from your seat, face the direction of the setting sun. That means you sit facing the western direction. Now, often in the sadhanas, it will say you sit facing east, facing west, facing south, so on and so forth. But essentially, wherever you sit, you think where you are facing is west in this case. You just think like that. You don't need to go out and look where the sun is, where I should sit. You don't need to be so literal. So then it says you sit there, then you take refuge, you do the preliminary, which we have already done. So do that. Then it says, visualize your idam deity and think. to free all beings from the fear of poverty and satisfy them with unending and vast offerings, I will now practice this. Here, this yidam, it's talking about Vasudhara. So think. So this is basically generating bodhicitta specific to this practice. Then, not explicitly specified in this sadhana. So if you want to do this, you can do this. If you don't want to do this, there is no mistake either. Which is, you can put some what's called pills, but they're not like medicine pills. But they are these, Tibetans will make them out of tsampa, this toasted barley flour, which is a staple of Tibetan people, the main food they eat. They will make these little pills and put in the offering plate to represent the deities. But this text doesn't specifically tell us to do this. So whether you want to do it or not, it's up to you. So in this case, so say you are going to do it. So then, right before you start the practice, now you turn the plate over and put it on the stand. And then you can put these pills. So what I'm using is cereal, which is what Americans eat for their staple. Americans don't eat roasted barley flour. Okay, so this is corn cereal. They are, shaped round. So perfect. So you just take some and you put into this plate, and you think, this is representing Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. So you can put this into this small plate here. Please don't, one for you, one for me, one for you, one for me, and snack from it, okay? Okay, now, the main practice now, it says at the beginning, at the notes, it says within that mindset, which is the mindset of why am I doing this practice? Why am I doing this offering? So this is really important, especially, I'm sure many of you heard here, oh, this is Vasudhara with the 4 Jambhalas, these are the wealth deities, oh, I want to do this to get a lot of wealth, I want to be rich, I want to this, I want to that. So this is dangerous, don't turn Dharma practice into making samsara a bigger trap So the motivation has to be that when beings suffer poverty, when beings are poor, so we have to think, poverty is not just material poverty. In fact, more terrible than material poverty is the poverty of heart. The heart has no space. The heart is very narrow. The mind is very closed. No capacity to love, no capacity to care, no capacity to be generous. That is the real inner poverty. Then, of course, there's also real poverty, like physical poverty in outside. There are always, so many people who are doing a lot worse than we are. There are so many people who cannot know, tonight will I go to sleep hungry or not hungry? So thinking of all of that, thinking of all of them, we say, may this offering help to alleviate the suffering of poverty. So you have to keep this mind, throughout the whole practice. So Vasudhara and the four Jambhalas, basically they are the embodiments of the paramita of giving, the perfection of generosity. So if we say we're going to cultivate, if we're going to practice the Vasudhara water offering, you cannot sit in your shrine and practice water offering, and then when you get up from the shrine, you forget to actually be generous to people, be generous to others, whether generous with your material resources or generous with your time, generous with your patience, generous with your words. All these forms of generosity you have to cultivate. It's when you cultivate these types of generosity beyond this ritual that then this ritual can kind of provide a special interdependence for wealth and abundance to turn up in your life. For wealth and abundance to turn up in your life that you can share with others. If this is not what's going on, then this can turn into a practice of hungry ghosts. Hungry ghosts always not enough, not enough, not enough, not enough. So now, right, with this motivation, with this understanding, so it says here, now you chant this mantra of cleansing and the mantra of emptiness, which is Om Bedza Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Hongpe, Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Swabhava Shuddho Hang, right? As you are chanting this, so if you have this ritual spoon, there's a special ritual spoon with some symbolism and everything. If you have this, you use this. If you don't have this, you can use your finger, your ring finger with your thumb, which is you dip the water. You touch remember this preparation water, this little plate of water? So you, if you don't have this spoon, then you use your finger, ring finger and thumb. You touch the water, then you sprinkle on all the offerings. As you say, Om Benza Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Hong Pe, Om Swabhava Shuddha Savadhamma Swabhava Shuddho Hang. Or if you have this ritual spoon, then you dip this ritual spoon and then you sprinkle, which is what I will do now. Om Benza Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Hong Pe, Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Swabhava Shuddho Hang. Oh, sorry, Wangchuk. Can you come back? Raise your hand. I put your hand down. Oh yeah, there you are. Internet can show us illusory nature very powerfully. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, I see Claudia. I see Wangchuk. Okay, both. So there is a question about?
You would want Wang to set him as co-host again? He's asking. And then there was a question about clarifying. Oh, if you could. Okay. So they just want the mantras of cleanliness and emptiness. So I'll put it into this.
Yeah. So it's the Om Vajra Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Hong Pe. That's to remove everything that is impure about the offerings. Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma is to realize the emptiness nature of everything.
Lost their connection.
Yeah. Then the practice, then the visualization starts, right? So this is inviting Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas to come to the space in front of you. Now, of course, the space in front of you is also symbolically this offering plate here. But you should not think it's just a small offering plate. You should think that this whole offering plate is like a big pond a big reservoir, right? And then on this reservoir, first appearing in the center is Vasudhara. Then in front of Vasudhara, white Jambhala will appear. Then to the right of Vasudhara, yellow Jambhala will appear. Behind Vasudhara, red Jambhala will appear. And to the left of Vasudhara, black Jambhala will appear. Basically, this is what's happening next. So here, there's a lot of details, okay, in this visualization. My advice to you when you're just starting to learn this practice is not to get too focused on all the details of the visualization. What you should first try to cultivate is a feeling first. A feeling that indeed Vasudhara, the golden Tara, is now here. I am in front of Vasudhara. So all the details of Vasudhara, we can slowly learn so that we can feel, we can imagine her in a clearer way and a clearer way and clearer way over time. You can think of it as sort of like meeting a new friend. When you meet a new friend, if you get too focused on trying to see or remember every detail about this person, it doesn't feel natural, you know. But instead, if you're introduced to a new friend, you're more focused on this whole person. You're more focused on connecting with this person beneath the physical aspect. More a heart connection. Then, you know, over time, as your heart becomes more connected, right, to Vasudhara, you don't really need to think, oh, she looks like this, she looks like that, she doesn't look like this, she doesn't look like that, she's holding this but not holding that, you know. Just like those of you, you know, like if you have a partner, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you have parents, you know, the moment somebody say the name of your mother, right? You don't even need to think, oh, my mother looks like this, like this, like this, and not like this, but oh, like this, like this. Immediately, in your mind's eye, you see your mother. Same way with deities. Too much emphasis on, oh, you need to visualize this way, this way, this way, this way, can actually become an obstacle to us actually being close to the deity. So my advice to you is, yes, there's a lot of details, you know, given here in the text, but it is not expecting you to immediately, you know, get all these details in your mind. Don't attempt that. So what we will do now is I'm going to chant in Tibetan the section for Vasudhara. I suggest you can do two things. One, if you have a picture of Vasudhara, which Leonard provided us, if you have a picture of Vasudhara, you can just gaze at that picture and think, I'm now in the presence of Vasudhara. If you don't have that, and you want to read the translation that you have for Vasudhara, this section of Vasudhara, as I chant in Tibetan, you can read that. But as you're reading, again, don't force yourself. Don't try too hard, Oh, I have to look and see, oh, she's this way, and not this way. Don't. Just very lightly read. So this is the section I'm going to chant now. Dombe ngale dundu naso pe madama shi pe tewa gesardan gesar sosu usu ale dawe dengi tende bam ye le dreki nema bam ge zembale oze naso chuchu tro Semchen tamche ushin pungpe dungyao dang re shin serne le ki te pa jang surdu Sabon chasen tan che pa yung su gyur pa le chum den de ma lamun urgyun ma Kundo tsirtso ma tabu sha chi chani ma shi shing Zum la joge rowe lang so sarpa ge ni lon pa tabu cha ye shin to Bijapura ka dhan chepe chojin gi chagya dang yondre kargi Nye ma sarpa tukara nampa rinpoche chupen sugen tamche ki Genpa ton ting re pe lembu che chingi gyab tu drowa La se ki reja dume toyo dang me yo lablu tu so wa me to nampa Na so ki trengwa sarpe lekpar genpa lume nampar dewe nyam chen Dume gyume nga kya ki gingpa shabni ki trung peche pe Rinpoche barwa kyupe pe me tere nam nen pa Next is the text here will describe in front of her, to her right, to her back, to her left, the different syllables for the different Jambhalas will appear. So a white jump in front of her, a yellow jump to her right, a red jump behind her, a black jump to her left. So next, the 4 Jambhalas will appear one by one. And this is the next section that I'm going to chant in Tibetan. So you can also continue to read or look at the Tanka. ki dundang yesu da den re re Kyabgön yondu nime den re re den du Duneye kordu zamyi kar sermana o barwa re re sewa namle ozetro Doni je du yong su gyur pale dundu. Now white Jambhala. Dundu Jambhala karpo kundo dungiri wang tabu dula zenkir du shomba. Ye dan tren da yen yule kyowa zen chen da da rinpoche naso peg yen pa. Then to her right, yellow Jambhala. Yesu Jambhala serpo jambu chu o sergi doje ye shinto bija puraka dang yon nyule keopa zinpa upale tren wa chen zapki peme don dan terda nen pa. Behind her, red Jambhala. Kyabtu Jambhala marpo kundo pema rage do chen shel sum cha dru shel ye kar Yonma uku dan tumpa shere re la chin sum sum nawa Chadrugi ye dang po rinpoche barpe chakyu yon dang poto Pa nurbu kang we barpe shakpa tamani ki nyule norugi Kang wa re re zimpa shapki kyang gungi no jin nurgyu ni ni nempa Chiage nyam chen dada rinpoche dumien gempe tukar lamo purukule marmo Shel chik chak shima chadang boni ki dazu Omani ki chakyu dang shakpa zimpa dadang rinpoche gempa o. To her left, black Jambhala. Yondu pakpa mugzing kundo indra nile lumpo la duki mumpe kyupa tabu ye topa taki kangwa dang yon yule kewa zimpa cherbu miutungi zhukchen zamki kyang kumgi shenne noda sarbo nen pa. Now, if you have the English text, we are at the bottom of page 11. I'm not sure the Spanish and the Vietnamese where we are. We just finished describing the 4 Jambhalas. Now this visualization in front, the deities, the 5 in front, they need to be, the wisdom beings need to come now. In a way, what we've been describing now is just an outer shell. So the actual deities now, we invite to come and possess this outer shell, so to say. And then we will request the Buddhas of the 5 directions to come and give empowerment to the mandala that is in front of us. This is the next section. Darso kora tamche ki chiwo om karpo jimba amarpo tuka hong ompo de namle ose trope ranshingi nene kompa tapu yeshe pa nam chendra. kun she tu che chen da da ni ma nga ye du she shin su pe ne ne ya zho la tse we she su so Bajra Samadha Tamsik Padang Yeshepa Yereme Pargyo. So now the wisdom beings, they come like rain, like snow, you know, melting into this outer shell that is just being described. Now it says the wisdom beings and this outer shell called Samaya beings, they become inseparably one. Next is to invite the Buddhas of the 5 families to come and give empowerment to this mandala that has appeared in front of us. And so for it to come alive with full power, in other words. Laryang tu ke sabongi ogi wangi la gyarwa ringa chendra. Om Penchakula Saparivara Argyam Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Patyam Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Pushpe Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Dhupe Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Aloke Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Kende Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Nevede Pratecha Swaha Om Penchakula Saparivara Shabda Pratecha Swaha. Om Sarva Tathagata Abhisinjantu Mam Wangile Wangkurku Ganti Ma Dakchu Langma Yarulupale Tsomodhan Samsirala Rinjung Karpola Nam Nam Marpola Opame Napola Mikyope Chupenki Kye Dab Wangla Nam Rang Nila Timpari Juru. So now at this point, again, if you have the English text, it's on page 14, at least the new text. I'm sorry, here, give me this. We have a few versions here. So now we are at the top of page 14, for those of you who are looking at the physical text. For those of you who are looking at the English e-text, then it's also page 14. Then here it says, now is the time to do the water offering. So of course tomorrow we will have opportunity for you to ask questions to clarify, and I will give more details of what we just did. Right now we'll continue on to the water offering.
You're on mute, Dr. Lai.
So it says here, in the center of my right hand is a moon with an R syllable. And from there, this offering is this nectar, this elixir, with 100 tastes. Wonderful. It begins to flow. So then this flow, so this is when we pour the offering onto this plate. And you think that this is all being offered to Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas and all the retinues of these deities of abundance and generosity. It's given to them to drink. It's also to wash and to cool down and to cleanse them. And as we give them this offering, right, this wonderful offering, both for them to take, to drink, and also to cool them down, to wash them, all of this, as we're giving them this, you also think, then they give this cooling down of suffering, them giving abundance to all beings everywhere. And everywhere and anywhere that people are lacking, people are having a hard time, just surviving, that may they all be relieved of their suffering of poverty. So during this offering time, you should think, you should feel, you should imagine, you should visualize this way. Then the left hand, you make a mudra during this offering, which is like this. This is the offering mudra. Like this and in this direction, pointing to the deity. So you hold like this, left hand. It's like you're giving. Right hand, you hold the offering teapot. Left hand you hold like this. Rangi lakpa yon me teo du dawe usu ayin karpo tsenpa le duzi rogya dang denpa le chi me ki duzi la yang e par kyuwa nu pe gyun baba jum den de ma tsokoro nye she du po sin ku tu so we nye shin zimne 다소 semchen tamche la norgi ngadu charbaba za tarazo shinge barin kyurun Om Vasudharanaye Jambhala Jalendraye Jambhala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukambhamari Swaha Om Vasudharanaye Jambhala Jalendraye Jambhala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukambhamari Swaha Om Vasudhare Naye Jambhala Jalendraye Jambhala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudhare Naye Jambhala Jalendraye Jambhala Jalendraye Dhanamedishri Indani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudarenaye Jambala Jalendraye Swaha Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedishri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudarenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedishri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhana Medihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhana Medihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedihri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dharmedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Om Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Swaha Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Dhanamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Swaha. Now is the 8 offerings at the end. Om Vasudharenaye Jambala Jalendraye Jambala Jalendraye Nadamedhri Indrani Mukam Brahmari Saparivara Argyam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Pratishtaya Soha. And now the offering of praise to Vasudhara and the 4 Jambala, each one. So I will chant in the Tibetan and you can read in the translation. Amo gangshi yela den samge punsorin chen nordan tu namdang kangshin chu song ye drun terzema sempel nur gyun la cha sel to shiwe su sin chum den da we do da do ten nan ting kyu gi ro shin dan tren teren gi niu le sin cha sel Tergon butsel dagire wadu norgi wanju rinjen derangashing nujin norda mangpo kungi je changju kyungwe gompo Jambhala ngadu choso nola cha se to dusun sanje kunje sungi la tuje chape kundo marbusu wangi chenle sunze Jambhala cha se jo re wa kang du so pa mu sin chu wan cho wana miu tong su chan nu jin de pon je kyo ni mi kyo chok tu da drengi cha se nor gi ng du nu du so. Next is a general request to all the Jambhala deities, Vasudhara deities. Oi serene leki me yi dumpa nam kedang girwa kyola kyabsu chi rinchen dusi charki chukyun chiki semchen uwe dungya jivar so. Bazra sadho samaya manu balaya bazra sadho deno bhati dadedo membava sudho kayo membava supo kayo membava anurado membava sarva siddhi membrayaja sarva kama suchame chidan shreya guru hong hao bhagavan sarva tata kadamba samang muchamba se bhava mahasamaya sato So you recite the Vajrasattva mantra to purify and to amend for any mistakes that has been done during this practice. Then here in the notes, it says also, imagine, think that you receive the siddhis, the accomplishments of this perfection of generosity. And how you do that is, now using your ring finger on your left hand, you think of like touching, you touch from the top plate, right, some of this liquid, and you take, and then taste. As you eat or drink a little, right, a drop, you think that all the siddhis of generosity, big mind, big heart, you receive from Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. Now we have to dissolve the mandala. Let all the deities kind of dissolve into the natural state. So this is the next section. Bhadra mu ye je pa nam rang ne su je dam se pa rang la tem pa gyuru. So now let your body and mind rest a little bit as you dissolve the visualization. Let body and mind rest naturally. Particularly try to feel this blessing or this accomplishment of this open heart, this generosity heart. This heart of giving, this heart of generosity that you're experiencing now. Have the understanding that this is the ultimate Vasudhara. This is the essence of Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. And that by making this water offering, you have taken a step closer to actualizing yourself as Vasudhara and the 4 Jambhalas. Changchu sem cho Rinpoché ma ge pa nam ge gyu chi ge pa nyam pa me pa ya ko ne at the bottom here in the notes, it says, you can use this water that has been offered and drink and take as drink as food yourself, but also you should also use this offering to offer outside and think, all the hungry ghosts especially, which is the opposite of generosity, that all the hungry ghosts that exist, may they now receive this offering that we have just made to the Jambhalas, to Vasudhara. And I offer this to any and all who are lacking in this generosity heart. So here what you do is, using your right hand now, you take this little plate and you pour everything down into the big plate. As you pour towards you. As you're pouring it towards you, right, turn this way, you think you are receiving all the complete cities. Then once again you put the plate upside down. Then later when you get up to go take the water out or to go distribute the water to people in your family, and then the rest you pour outside, then you can remove this small plate and the stand. And then just take this bowl without the small plate and the stand, you can take down. Then you can take this and distribute. Yeah, so today, we will stop here, and tomorrow we will continue with more details, and then you can ask your questions and we can clarify. Yeah. So we will start at the same time tomorrow and hopefully end on time tomorrow. I apologize that we ran over today.
Someone?
Yeah.
Just a quick message, Dr. Lai.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just really quick to everyone joining us today. Well, as all you know, this program is free of charge. However, if someone feels inspired and in the spirit of open generosity and wishes to give Dana, Dr. Online, for today's teachings to support him or his work, I'm going to be adding the information on the Zoom chat. And also, we got Urban Dharma North Carolina, which is the host of this program, and where Dr. Light is founder and spiritual director. If you would like to make a donation to the center as well, I'll be adding the link in the Zoom chat for your reference. Okay, thank you so much for today's teachings.
Yeah, for those of you who are, in places where sending offerings and all that is difficult, important thing here is this. Yeah, then wherever you are, right, you have a local Dharma center, right? You send your offering there. Doesn't matter what Dharma center it is, as long as it's making the Buddha's teachings available to others. You have to support your local Dharma center. And of course, Urban Dharma can exist, can have this facility because of so many of you being so generous to Urban Dharma. And then of course I can continue to do what I'm doing and not have to worry too much about how to pay bills because of your generosity. I appreciate that. But if you are in places where it's too complicated, to try to send offerings all the way here to North Carolina, don't forget, wherever you are, there's always opportunities to make offerings, to help, to be generous. This is the essence of this practice, So please think of that. Yeah, so today we are done. We'll see everybody tomorrow. The recording of this will be put on the Drikung Dharmakirti website. Some of you during the transmission, right, the internet is not stable. Actually, you don't worry too much about it. When you can listen to the recording, wonderful. But most important is your heart. if your heart can cultivate generosity and bodhicitta, I can guarantee you, you got the transmission, whether your ear heard it or not. Yeah, it is good to be detail-oriented. That's good. To try to follow the procedure as much as we can. But also, you have to guard against becoming too rigid. And too much fear in your practice. Not good. Okay, tata, bye-bye. Good night. Good day.
Bye-bye, Lamalas.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lamala. Thank you.
Bye.